Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask, Learn, Grow, the show where the Reef team answer questions, share updates and insights from the digital marketing industry. I'm joined by Melanie Williams today, our Head of Strategy and Conversion, and Mel's going to talk about data sampling in Google Analytics. So what is it, how does it work, and how to identify it? So Mel, as a expert in conversion rate optimization, it's quite common for you to analyze many different sources of data, not just in GA and outside of Google Analytics also, even though GA can be obviously a strong point of reference. But what do you do when the data doesn't match up between sources?
Yeah, it's really common to use multiple data sources to build a deeper picture of your user activity. Often GA is used alongside other platforms and CRMs to gather, organize, and report on user data. More often than not, though, the outputs of these systems don't always align, which makes it difficult sometimes to know exactly which figures to trust.
So where would you start to understand where these discrepancies lie if you're analysing the data and it doesn't match up?
Yeah, it's always a really good start to understand where your platform is pulling the data from. So some of them are collecting it directly from a tracking script, which is installed on your site. There's a whole big range of other sources where it could be pulling from. Cookies, tracking scripts, and pixels are all different tools that can help collect data on user activity. So getting a good understanding of which tools are being used where on your site is super important in knowing why there are discrepancies in your data. The other important piece of information to know is around Google Analytics reporting itself and their use of data sampling. As you can imagine, the amount of data that Google Analytics collects and collates is just huge. Sometimes it's not cost effective or timely to accurately report on every discrete action to generate a report. So for example, if you wanted to estimate the number of trees in a 100-acre area where the distribution of trees was fairly uniform, you could count the number of trees in 1 acre and multiply it by 100, and then you get an accurate representation of an entire 100 acres.
Okay, cool. And so will reports be accurate? And how will you know when sample data has been used?
I mean, ideally, you would want Google Analytics to analyze a complete data set every time that you run a query.
Okay, so if I'm pulling reports and I'm looking at lots of data, how do I know whether GA is using sample data or not, and it's the full source?
So you may have noticed there's a shield icon at the top left of a report that you run. If the shield is green, you're looking at unsampled data. If the shield look there is yellow, then Google Analytics is using the sampled data. And if you hover your mouse over the little shield, it'll give you a drop-down menu and you can get some more details. So when using some of the sampled data, you'll be able to see how many sessions of accurate data Google is using to produce that sampled data. You can see it here, it's green, so we're obviously using 100% unsampled data here. But you could click on the Learn More. So it brings up more information regarding data sampling if you need a bit of further detail as to where the data is being pulled from and how. Right. Cool. You also get the option to switch options depending on your needs. So you can drop down here and choose faster response if you don't require accuracy. And this will enable you to pull a big report right away. And you can also select greater precision here. So if you can see you're being sampled, but you actually require a greater amount of accuracy in your data, you can choose this option. It will load a lot slower, but you will get better results.
Great, thanks, Mel. And is there any option, if you did want to turn off data sampling, is there any option to do that?
Look, if you're really concerned about having sampled data in your reports, then upgrading to a paid version of Google Analytics is probably your best option. In this particular version, data sampling doesn't come into effect until you're running reports with over 100 million sessions within the set data range, so you're unlikely to ever be using sampled data. Some other ways include finding ways to break up your reporting so that you try and keep the number of sessions per report under 500,000. That way you're sure to see only unsampled data. Export all of your data to a third-party tool, and then you can manually recreate your report.
So any final thoughts on data sampling to wrap this up?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it depends on why you're running a report, and that will determine whether data sampling is a concern for you or not. If you know you're sticking with standard reports and you're not pulling large amounts of data over a broad date range, your chances of encountering sampled data is minimal. And that really helps when you're cross-checking your data across the platforms. If you know where your data sources are coming from and you know whether to factor in sampled data from Google Analytics or not, you'll be able to understand your discrepancies and you'll be able to provide insights and recommendations with a fair degree of confidence.
Great stuff. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Mel, for sharing all the information about data sampling. If anyone's got any questions about data sampling or Google Analytics or any digital marketing topic in general, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help. And if you'd like to see the team answer any particular question in a future video, send your suggestions in and we'll see what we can do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified of when the next video is available. Apart from that, thanks all for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.